Hey, what's up, guys? Here on the Fire Sports Pod, where everything we do here is fire. I'm your host, Zach Jackson. This is my guest host and mentor, Pedro. I appreciate Pedro for coming on. Pedro,
Pleasure.
if you want to introduce yourself, a little bit what you do, how you do things.
A little bit about what I do. That's a really good question. I do a lot of things. And we all know that I do a lot of things. But no, I have a long-standing experience in the sports and fitness industry. I've been in the business for about 14 years now, and I myself played sports in college and in high school. Currently an executive of a company, Fitness Altitude Fitness. Obviously, see the brand there, Altitude Fitness Management Group, and the Altitude Fitness Enterprises Group. We actually have a bunch of different companies under that trademark, under that branding. Um, Pretty much, the thing about it is what we're doing is uh, right now, my biggest thing is trying to get, the word out there that kids should really be involved in sports and fitness, right? It's extremely important. I think that the sooner that we can get young people involved in that, the better off we're all going to be. So that's one of the things that I do right now. But again, that's the idea right now. I've been involved in that. I'm a coach, currently coach, and also help people along with their movements and different things like that in sports. But that's pretty much what I do.
All right, so guys, you guys know the spin on Pedro and my mentor who helped me put this all together in the beginning. So I appreciate that from him. So we're on the roll. So we got three segments here on our show today. First, we're going to go into a little bit of the NFL Combine, and then the second segment we're going to go into spring training. It's already started. It feels like the MLB season just ended, and we're going to start March 28th is the opening day for at least the Yankees side of things. And then we're going to go into just how his company and him himself review how sports can affect and negatively affect kids nowadays. So let's get right to it. So, Pedro, with the NFL Combine coming up, we have a list of different guys coming in, quarterbacks, running backs, whatever. What is your spin? And who do you think is the most, like, I don't know, talented quarterback coming out of the draft, coming into the NFL, could be drafted out of the selection that we have?
I mean, I mean, uh, that's a really good question. I mean, I think that I think there's a lot of good prospects. I mean, I think McCarthy's a really good prospect right now for a quarterback coming in right now from Michigan. I think he's really good. Um, I think he's probably going to be one of those guys that we'll probably see in the 1 through 10 draft picks, right? But I think at the end of the day, I think it's all going to boil down to the next couple of days in the combine, right? What these guys do now. McCarthy is a great pick. Jaden Daniels is also a great pick. He's up right now for on some really strong wins during the season at LSU. So I mean, there's a lot of positives in this whole thing right here. I think it's all going to depend on what happens at Combine. Combine started, just so you guys know, though. Combine started today and it goes until the 4th of March. So we're looking at a pretty exciting week over the next couple of 7 days.
Yeah. So I would have to piggyback off of that. I do think JJ McCarthy is going to be good, especially with Jim Harbaugh. But now he moved on to the NFL with Justin Herbert, which is kind of not comparing Justin Herbert and JJ McCarthy, but they have a little bit similar attributes when it comes to just being able to play in a system. I think a guy you got to watch out for is probably Bo Nix, even though he's been in Oregon for like 20 years, it seems like, but he is a proven guy. He's an older dude. So when he gets to the NFL, I think he's going to translate a lot better than a Jaden Daniels, who's young, very talented, but a high ceiling. A lot of these quarterbacks are very talented, high ceiling, but some of them, like Michael Penix Jr., Caleb Williams, Jordan Travis, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. Other than JJ McCarthy, I would say that Bo Nix and JJ McCarthy are probably the two best older quarterbacks in this draft and really could translate from college to the NFL like this. But I don't know. Caleb Williams, to me, he's probably going to be the projected number one pick unless the Bears stay with Justin Fields. I think he's going to be a bust. I don't like. I just don't think the end of the season really showed me like he was playing against bums in the beginning, like teams that really weren't supposed to be playing him, and he was going crazy, 400 yards, 6 touchdowns. But once he got played in those good competition, later in the year, he really folded. And I don't know if he was injured. I don't know if any of this stuff, but he really kind of folded. What is your take on Caleb Williams? How do you think he's gonna pan out in the NFL?
So let me kind of backtrack for a second. I think that when you say that Bo Nix, because of the age factor, and we're not talking about his physical age, we're talking about his time in the game. Um, I don't think that that's always a good thing. I think that that just gives it's a good thing in terms of experience. I don't think it's always a good thing. I think when we talk about the league, I think the league is looking for a younger, more adaptable, coachable individual. Right? I think the one thing that we most people kind of tend to miss when it comes to professional sports is the organizations are not looking for people who are experienced and set in their ways. They're looking for people who are experienced but also coachable, right? And I think the biggest issues that we find with a lot of older guys is that they are generally not coachable. They they kind of set in a lot of their ways. So where we have JJ McCarthy, we have Jaden Daniels. These are younger guys. These guys may serve the league better. They may serve better in the capacity as to what they want. Now, first year may not be the best year. Second year may not be the best year. But as we've seen before with Eli Manning, we've seen that before with some of the guys on Seattle. Russell Wilson was a prime example of that, right? He came in a little bit weak, and then all of a sudden came in super strong, and took it, right? I mean, when we look at guys like that, and we see how they came into the league, the same exact thing here. So I don't think that that's always necessarily a good thing. I do think that he is definitely a strong pick, and I think that he's probably one of the guys probably going to make it. Within the between 1 and 10, I think he'll be on first 10 round pick. I think he's going to be really, really one of those strong guys, maybe even the first or fifth. But at the end of the day, I think the bottom line here is that when it comes to this, we have to understand that it is more so as to what dynamics these guys are actually bringing to the game, specifically for that year and for the next 4 years. Remember, these guys on a cycle, right? They're looking to see how well these guys perform over the next 4 years. It's not the first year, not the second year. It's really the first 4 years. So just kind of understand that, and that's what they're looking for. But I think some great picks. What do I think about Caleb Williams? I mean,
Mhm.
I think he's coming out of a great school, he's coming out of USC, a great organization there. I mean, great coaching there. I mean, I think that he has the abilities to obviously to make it big in the league and even take again 1 and 10. But I think at the end of the day, it all depends. Again, I'll say it again. It all depends on what happens in combine. I've seen guys projected to do well, in the league, and then go to combine and do shit. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it all depends on what they do in combine. I think strong thrower. I think he's got a laser throw. He targets pretty well on the field. So I don't think that there is. I don't think there's anything at all that would preclude him from being one of those top guys.
gotcha. Now I kind of agree. I mean, I know we kind of put a difference of opinions on that. But with Jordan Travis, he had the catastrophic injury for Florida State last
Yeah,
year. That
yeah,
was
yeah,
one of
yeah.
the reasons why they didn't make it into the college football playoffs. That was probably my pick because I'm a Ohio State Buckeyes fan, so we were out after we lost to Michigan. But that was probably my underdog pick for the whole to win it all. And I think if
Right.
he was healthy, they probably would have won it all. But do you think that he is going to stay in Florida State with that injury, or do you think he's going to shoot for the combine? I don't even know if he's able to play in the combine. They have him listed, but I mean that's catastrophic injury only happened a couple months ago, so I don't
I
know.
I I think one of the things to understand from a clinical perspective, I think one of the things you need to understand is, and I don't think the average person understands this, right? I mean, when we talk about high level sports, high level performance in sports, one of the things that we look for in terms of athletic coaching and conditioning and that types of stuff is that there's an entire staff, entire team of people of medical professionals working with these athletes. So if someone gets injured today, where the average person, the average, let's say, Gen Pop person may ultimately, take 8 weeks to heal from an ACL injury, right? These guys potentially can heal in 6 because they're not just doing therapy for 3 hours a day or 3 hours at a pop. They're doing therapy for 8, right? Sometimes, 5, 6, 7 days a week. The therapy is extensive. the recovery and treatment protocols is extensively a place put together to get those guys back in the game relatively quickly. And there are other factors as well too. There's other factors like different types of medications and therapies that the average person would not receive because they're not operating on such a high level. So there's a number of different factors to kind of understand. But I think if he's listed, I think more than likely he's going to play, and I think it'll be ultimately, it will ultimately be a one of those things. It'll be kind of a toss up to see where he ends up at the day. But I think that most of these guys, the drive and the passion that they have, regardless of the injury happened about 6 weeks ago, right? I mean, regardless of what it is, I think these guys, generally speaking, they are generally in a good place to ultimately take at least the chance to play. And no athletic coach, no therapy, physical therapist, or any doctor or any medical professional, chiropractor. No one is going to put someone in a dangerous position anyway. So at the end of the day, if these guys are on there, listed on there, it means that they've been evaluated, and that evaluation shows that they can potentially play at least 90%. So, or move forward at least 90%. So that's the main thing, right? To understand that. I think if you understand that, you know how these things go in the league and in the game. You'll understand that these guys are high performers, and they understand what they have to do.
All right. Okay, so that guys, if you have a question on performance and anything, Pedro's the guy to ask about. So now the draft pick, as you guys can see, 15 slots. I mean, everything below it, I mean, is usually the more the teams that made it to the playoffs and stuff like that. So I'm just only doing the top 15 right here. But the Bears, they have a little bit of a up and down. I mean, they pick either keep Justin Fields, or they take Caleb Williams. It's looking like that's what they're gonna do. For my thing, I don't know why they wouldn't go for like a Marvin Harrison Jr. Justin Fields played with him in Ohio State, and I think that might be a great pickup. That's a number one wide receiver going with DJ Moore, with the tight end that you have, with the running backs that you have. That's a great offense right there. If you add Marvin Harrison Jr. So I personally love Justin Fields. I don't want them to get off of him, even though he's an NFC guy. That's my guy from Ohio State, so I'm always going to ride with Justin Fields. But I think they've killed him. They've given him 3 offensive coordinators in the last 3 years. As a quarterback, how are you able to like get any confidence from like each coordinator, and they're just letting him go every year? So just a little synopsis of what is your thoughts on Justin Fields, and is the Bears just writing him off and being just wrong to him for just doing what they've done?
No, the Bears are not being. I mean, I don't think the Bears are being wrong for. I don't think they're writing him off at all. Actually, I think, I
Mm,
think they just kind. I think they just kind of let the guy play the game. They're letting him play the game. They understand he's a high performer. He's gotten them great results before, and they just letting the guy play the game. You know what I mean? I mean, at the end of the day, he's one of the better. One of the better players on the team. So um, why would I kind of let this guy, not play? He's gotten a lot of great yard. He's gotten great yardage before. Continues to play at a high level, even with all the other factors he's had. Why not just let him play? You know what I mean? I think it's all strategy. I think at the end of the day, I think he's going to ultimately, he'll get them the successes that they need. I don't think they're writing him off though. I mean, to say that is it's kind of like shooting him down a bit. Uh, Saying that they're not really very strategic in what they're doing. I think they're rather strategic in what they're doing.
so you think that what they're doing is trying to basically motivate Justin Fields to like be better
I
for
don't think they
them?
have to. I don't think they have to motivate him. I think he's good. I don't think they have to motivate him. I don't think they have to motivate him at all. I think he's very motivated. I think the issue with a lot of these guys is that the guy's been look. The guy's played great games. I mean, he's had some bad ones, but he's played a lot of great games. I think it comes with the territory. I mean, it is what it is.
Okay, so them trying to get Caleb Williams is like, is
It's a
that
caveat.
it's okay?
It's a caveat. It's only gonna be something it's only gonna help boost what they did last season, right? It's only gonna help them long term, right? I mean, that's when you put 2 superstars, 2 all-stars on the team. What happens? You got
Yeah,
you got a rocket
exactly.
ship to the moon, right? So
Yeah. All right, so I can get back behind that. Okay, I didn't think about it in that type of sense. That if you bring two guys like that, it could actually catapult it. Because I thought like bringing Caleb Williams is kind of like downgrading Justin Fields, basically like they don't believe in him type thing.
Nah,
Uh,
nah, nah, nah.
no,
No, I
okay,
don't know. I disagree with that. I think a lot of times people seldom think that just because an organization decides to bring in another superstar, someone who has the potential of being a superstar, it's taken away the spotlight from the person who is in that position. It's not. I mean, it definitely is not. As a matter of fact, it should never do that. It should actually elevate that person to become now the mentor for that person coming in to help them actually become just as good as they are, because that person is going to make them shine. So I think that at the end of the day, I think if you understand how the game is played and you understand how these coaches and how these executives think, that's how they think.
all right. That's a good one. That's a yeah. That I didn't think about it that in that sense. Because because a lot of people are reacting around just not just me, just in general the sports world. Even Stephen A. is saying stuff like, "Why would you move off of that?" But in your sense, I mean, it kind of makes sense for what you're saying, the way you're saying it, and that's probably what, and it's definitely
Exact,
what.
exact. When you mention Stephen A.
Uh huh.
to anybody on your show, that's like setting off a ticket. That's like setting off a bomb, bro.
Uh,
Stephen A is my guy. I love Stephen A, but I love hearing him go on with the rants and yeah, he's the most direct guy I know, man. I love the dude, but bruh, but he's not always right, you know,
yeah,
and sometimes his analogies is way far fetched. I mean, he's got a lot more experience in sportscasting than I do. I'm most certainly not a sportscaster. I'm a coach. I don't sportscast, right?
yeah,
This is
yeah,
what you guys do. Um, but that is it would be the same as me, you know, jumping on the weather on the weather channel one day and giving a weather report, right? I'm not a meteorologist. I can't do that.
exactly.
But what I most certainly can do is I can tell you that from a personal standpoint, from a professional standpoint as well, to also working in the league for a little bit myself, I can most certainly tell you that I do understand how they actually function and how they operate when it comes to those types of things. And just being in sports organizations, you know, for so many years, I understand 1000% that this is some of the things, and these are some of the things that actually take place in with regards to the planning mindset, just the train of thought. Now, again, you might be right. I mean, it's all speculation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They may ultimately be, uh, you know, they might be actually thinking about doing this. They may be planning to, you know, at some point, you know, move Justin Fields off. That may be one of the things, you know. So, but who knows, right? Who
Yeah,
knows?
exactly.
That's just not. I mean, look, I did fantasy football this year, right? I was in the league this year, and I rode the league for 16 weeks straight, number one. And in week 17, guess what?
Wow.
Guess who lost the playoffs? Guess who? I didn't lose the playoffs actually. Guess who lost the championship? Me. I lost the championship game. I lost on one game. That's important for me winning the whole thing. I lost that game. Why did I lose that game? Because I anticipated one move that was just straight up wrong.
What was it?
So, the move that I anticipated that was wrong, that messed me up, was I should have taken. So I had Lamar Jackson played, right,
Okay.
and Lamar Jackson, you know, the my adversary put him as the QB, and I thought he was gonna do crappy that week, but he
Hmm.
actually did exponentially well and completely knocked me out. Not to mention the fact that um, I had a really good spin on a couple of things. And one of the things I had a really good spin on was, you know, I had T. Higgins in the game, and you know, I had T. Higgins in the game. I had him in there, and he got injured, and that just completely knocked me out. I had
Oh,
nobody else. I had nobody else to put in the game. I had nobody else to put in. So I went on. I did a little bit of trading and drafting and shuffling. And I bought some people I thought would win, and they did absolutely horrible. So I mean, it's all about perspective. I
damn.
I looked at all the projections and everything, and everything showed to be, you know, well, and I didn't do so well, man. I mean, it's just one of those situations, you know. And
You pulled the Patriots
ah,
15-1 until they lost in the
man,
Super Bowl.
man, I don't, man, it was horrible.
Oh, I
But
feel for you.
at the end of the day, I mean, I had a really good run. I'll pull up some of my stats right now. Actually, I had a really good run. Um, you know, um, look, Trevor Lawrence played a great game for me as well too. Um, I want to tell you for 15 weeks straight, I had Trevor Lawrence. Trevor was on there, was banging it out, and he got injured. Week
Yeah.
14, he got injured. That was it for me. You know what I mean? Once he got injured, it took me
Who's your
back.
quarterback? Other than
Trevor
Trevor
Lawrence.
Lawrence. No, other than that, who'd you
Oh,
pick up?
I had Trevor Lawrence and Jordan Love. Jordan Love surprisingly did extremely well for me. Jordan Love did really
Yeah.
good for me. He really came through for me. He was a powerhouse. I mean, I played him in the last game, and he was projected to score 17 points. He did 36, right? So, I
Oof.
mean,
Wow.
he did 36. I mean, somebody else who came in really hard for me during that game was also Dalton Kincaid as well too. Kincaid
Oh
came
yeah,
in
he's
really good. My
good.
tight end, he was really good, right? He really proved himself this season, I think. Um, and Christian McCaffrey,
Ah,
C-Mac,
that guy's a beast.
yeah, but he blew it for me. I mean, the last two
Oh
games,
no way, that was the way.
he blew it. Yeah, he
Oh,
blew it for me. He came off of the injury and blew it. You know what I mean? I mean,
oh
it was
man.
they won 27-10, but he blew it for me. It was I was down 10 points, and I had put money on him. Now here's something that was ironic for me, right?
Uh-huh.
Ironic was Zay Flowers was projected to do 6 points. And I didn't put him in. I didn't put Flowers in the game at all. I had him on the bench. Had I moved him off the bench and put him in the game, I would have won. But instead of
How
putting
much did he
Flowers in,
have?
he had 19.
Jesus
He
Christ.
was projected to do
Damn.
6. Okay,
Wow.
though Higgins was projected to have 7. He did 1. That killed me
Wow.
because
And
I
because
lost.
he got hurt, right? That
Yeah,
was the
I
game
lost.
he got hurt. Damn.
I lost in the fantasy league by 4 points.
Damn.
Four
Oh
points.
my. In the championship game
It's
too. Oh
championship game, baby.
shit.
4 points. So,
Oh, that's terrible.
I mean, these little things they do matter. I mean, it's just a matter of it's a matter of understanding that
I've had the same luck, Pedro, man. I was on like a streak, and then out of nowhere, Gus Edwards stopped running they stopped giving him the ball. I had my tight end, Hawkinson. They stopped throwing him the ball, and then a couple guys got hurt, and then I just lost. It was bad. I went into the first round and lost by like 50 because all my guys did not do nothing. Like Saquon 5, Gus Edwards 3, Hawkinson 7. My flex, I forgot who my flex was. He had like nothing, and my defense and my kicker and my quarterback and one of my wide receivers went off. Everybody else did terrible, and that was it. I had nothing.
I got to tell you, man, Brees Hall came through for me in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, they
3 weeks
ran him the
actually came
ball
through.
big
Yeah,
time.
they ran him the ball big time, and he came through. He really came through. He put up 18 points for me in the finals, and helped me really kind of come up from that hole a bit. But I mean, my overall for the season was 11-3. So I won 11 games. Lost 3. Obviously, championship games didn't really count, but 11-3. That was my right. Actually, it was 12-3. That was my record.
That's really
So
good.
think about it. I ran, and the reason why I lost 3 games is because I just didn't I didn't account for. There was 2 things, right? The one thing I didn't account for was for my bye weeks
Oh shit.
because I was busy doing other things, so I
Yeah,
didn't really focus on that, and I kind of messed up with my bye weeks. But aside from that, man, it was a great season. I enjoyed it.
you gonna play
I just
again
hate.
next year?
Yeah, 1,000%.
What's
I
the
play every
bid for
year.
you? Do you play with your boys? I would assume yeah, right?
No, I play with different leagues. This league I play with was with actually Starbucks. Actually, Starbucks has
Oh
a
shoot.
yeah, Starbucks has a league, and
How much is
I
it?
jumped on the Starbucks league. It all depends. All depends. This particular one was like $100.
All right.
But yeah. But pretty
How many
interesting.
people play? How many teams?
It's like 10, 10, 15.
So, all right, so that's a pretty big buyout. You get first
Yeah,
place. How's it? Is it
yeah.
like 3 different places? You get first, second, and third. It's just
It's
one.
first, second, and third. But at the end, I mean, you do get plays. The prize only goes to the number one person. So
Oh, so there's no like
yeah.
second and third money thing. Nah.
Nah, man, nah.
Uh,
Number one gets the win.
I would say
So
like number one gets the whole thing. Number two gets like maybe half of it, and then the number one just gets the third gets his $100 back.
I got to tell you, man, I was a bit pissed off that because I didn't get anything back. And I was like, this is ridiculous. But
Oh yeah,
uh,
that's bad. So wait, you got second place? I would assume because the guy won the
yeah.
championship. You got second. All right.
And the person who won the championship should have never won the first place. I'm
What was
sorry,
his
Matthew.
team?
I'll tell you right now. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Um, he had his team. This was his team, right? I mean, these guys. I did auto draft, right? So I was kind of smart, right? Because everybody was talking smack during even before we started. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna do something to that, right? So I'm like, listen, I'm gonna cream all y'all the entire season. I promise you, I'm gonna win every single game in the season, right?
You auto
And
drafted it?
I auto draft, and then I got the least likely. Now, here's the thing with auto draft, right? People say auto draft is they say that, oh, when you do auto draft, most of the time, auto draft, gives you like, some of the really good projected players and blah blah blah. That's what they say, right? So it's like there is some truth to that, but auto draft, remember, it picks from the bottom of the barrel, right? The people that nobody wants, right? Nobody has touched, right? So when I auto drafted, I didn't even get a chance. I didn't give a shot at Lamar Jackson, for example. I didn't get a shot at Hill, for example. I did not get a shot at Chris Olave, for example. I didn't get I didn't get a shot at any of these guys. Robinson. Fuka Nuckle. I didn't get a shot at any of these guys. These guys got all these dudes, bro, and they still lost. Like, it's mind blowing to me. It's mind blowing to me. It's mind blowing to me. I mean, I lost at the end, but
So what
I,
was
I
let me know what was that guy's team and what was your team. I want to see the
all right,
comparison.
my team. All right, so I just told you what this guy's team was, right? This guy's team was QB. He had Lamar Jackson, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had Tyreek Hill. He
Jesus.
had Chris Olave. He had Bijan Robinson. I mean, come on, bro. Powerhouse of a running back too, right? He had Zamir White. Um, he those were his main guys, right? Then he had Mayfield as well too. He had Baker Mayfield, who was also he benched a couple of times, but that was his team. Now my team was QB was Trevor Lawrence, right? Um, I had I had you know I had Amon-Ra St. Brown, man. That was my guy. Amon was good, man. He took me
Oh
through
yeah,
a
he
couple
was
of
really
times, man.
good.
Yeah, I had Amon in there. I had T. Higgins, I had T. Higgins in there. I had Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey came up actually on a trade. I traded and picked him up. Um, I had
Who
Cook.
would
I
trade
had James.
Christian McCaffrey? What?
It was some dumb stuff. I had James Cook. I had Dalton Kincaid, and I had Brees Hall. Right,
Wow.
those are
So
my
you
the,
had
you
all the
know
guys that were kind of like under the radar this year, and
I
that
had I
really.
had exactly. I had all the superstars, right? All the superstars who were just kind of like you said before, who were kind of like they let him kind of run the mill, right? Like, let's
Yeah,
run these guys through the mill, right? Those are the guys I picked up, man. And I told him I'm gonna take it, and I did. You know,
that's
12 games
awesome.
straight win,
That's
bro. I
crazy.
mean, I had it. It would have been the entire season, but again, I had a couple of bloopers on my end. Those were my fault. It wasn't my player's fault. It was my fault. I just didn't prepare for it correctly. I was really busy with other things, so that was my
Yeah,
fault.
yeah,
But
yeah. Yeah,
some good shit.
those bye weeks will jump out of nowhere. I hate those things.
They didn't really jump out of nowhere. I knew about them. I just procrastinated, and lost track of time. That's it.
That's all good. It's all good. Was that your first time playing? No, you played multiple times before, right? That's good. That's
Played a lot of times, man. I played in several leagues. I played back in 2017, 16, 15. Played in 2019. I didn't play 2018. Didn't play 2020, obviously with the pandemic. 21, I got into the league. I really didn't play in that. I was in it, but I didn't really, have any much activity.
yeah.
And then obviously 2023, I picked it up. So
That's not bad. You gotta let me know when the thing come in. Oh, maybe if I could join that, I would love to join that.
yeah, for sure, for sure, yeah.
League like that, because I play with my friends, but like, yo, they try to bullshit me and they try to give me these stupid trades. I'm like, bro, just because I'm killing the league, like I was running the league for like 6 games straight. I was like 4-5, and then I went on a 6-game, 7-game winning streak, and then the last 3 games, I don't know what the hell happened. I went
But
two
hold on,
games.
if they're giving you something, then you don't. If they're giving you whatever it is they're giving, you don't have to take it. If they're giving you trade, you
No,
gotta
no,
take
yeah,
it.
yeah, I know that, but they like to just keep annoying me. They just keep sending me shit, then keep texting me, "Yo, can you trade this guy when it's my best guy?" And they're giving me a scrub. I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna entertain that. Like, dude, like, just stop. But it's crazy. I have not won. I've played like every year for the last like 5 years, and I always have. I don't have like things. My just players do well, and then the last couple games, the offense or defense just decides not to play. And then either the coaching just stops the running the ball, or they say no throwing to this guy, or whatever. There was a time, I think it was when Drew Brees and Michael Thomas were on the same team, right? I was down by 65 points last game. If I don't win, I lose. I don't get to the championship. I kid you not. Drew Brees had 30 something. Michael Thomas had 28. I needed one more touchdown from Drew Brees to win this game. I lost by 0.8 points because they did not throw him a touchdown at the end of the game. They ran the ball, and then that
Drew
was the last.
Brees.
They
Drew
took him out.
Brees. What a legend.
Yeah, that's crazy. But guys, Pedro's got to take a break for a little bit. So, right, Pedro, you're gonna jump off for
2 seconds. 2 seconds. 2
seconds.
seconds.
All right, so
Yeah, I'll be right back on.
I'll be talking about some MLB. We're gonna be changing to the MLB section. All right.
Awesome. I'll be right back. Right back in here.
All right, sounds good.
All right, cool.
All right. So, guys, we're going to be going into the MLB. Pedro just had to take a break for just a couple seconds, so he'll be right back on. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show so far. We're about 31 minutes in. So let's get right to the MLB. Now, spring training starting up, ladies and gentlemen. We got a bunch of guys coming in, new teams, new players. You have Juan Soto yesterday just hit a 3-run bomb. You had one of our prospects for the Yankees hit a 470-footer 2 days ago. I mean, the Yankees are looking okay in spring training. But again, granted, it is spring training. A lot of teams are going to look good. Like the Dodgers' first game scored 14 runs to the San Diego's 1. The Yankees have beaten teams by 20, or having 22 runs. So, yeah, you could say all these things. But I don't think spring training's great to basically showing what other people got and whatever, but we know what the big names got. Aaron Judge, it looked like he hit a home run yesterday and it drooped down for a single. So, I mean, the projected record wise, the top teams in the MLB, we said that a couple weeks ago on the Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and Apple Podcasts and the Fire Sports Pod, we talked a little bit about the top teams and where was my ranking of them. So you got the Braves, you have the Dodgers, you have the Yankees, of course, you have the Orioles, you have the Houston Astros. I mean, you got the Diamondbacks, you got the Texas Rangers. Right there, those are probably the top teams. I would probably go Dodgers. I would probably go Texas Rangers, Braves. I'd probably go Orioles, Houston, Diamondbacks, Yankees. So that's the 7 slots. The Yankees, for me, are on the 7th seed. I just think everybody above them, the 2 guys in the top 6 are the Diamondbacks and the Rangers. They're at the 2 and the 6 spot, and they're the teams that went to the World Series last year. And if it was for a couple little things, the Diamondbacks had a chance to win that series against the Rangers. So you never know what happens in the sports world. But right there, those are the 2 and the 6 are the Texas Rangers at 2. The 6th seed are the Arizona Diamondbacks, which they go neck and neck. I mean, both teams. Arizona was a shocker. They were a year ahead. This was supposed to be the year that they popped off. Excuse me. This was supposed to be the year that popped off. So we'll see if that the year before last year was their popping off year, and now they're just going to go back to being crap. I don't know. The Diamondbacks, they still have basically the same team. They haven't really made any trades, so they're basically going with the same young core and the same young team. So if they stick with it, they definitely can get back to the World Series without a doubt. Now Texas, they're a powerhouse team. They're still with Montgomery as their closer, one of their closers, one of their pitchers. You got a couple great guys. Seager's still there. You got a bunch of dudes that really can play. I would not be surprised if Texas winds up in the World Series again. They have the team to do it, but just the Dodgers, man. They are so talented that to the point where I'm thinking maybe the Dodgers are too talented where they're going to psych themselves out, just like San Diego when they had Machado, when they had Tatis Jr., when they had Snell, when they had and then they had Juan Soto. They really didn't do nothing. Last year, I believe they still had their same core, and they made it to the playoffs, but they were shortly a buzz exit. No, they did. They just missed the playoffs last year, and they were a short exit out. So sometimes it's like in the NBA, kind of when you build super teams. Like right now, the Suns have Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. You're looking, they're a little up and down. They just beat the Lakers last night, but they're a little up and down. Bradley Beal hasn't been healthy. Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are trying to feel things out, trying to get the mesh together. No DeAndre Ayton. Yusuf Nurkic has been great. So you see that a lot of teams in the NBA and the MLB are similar when it comes to super teams. When you have Juan Soto, when you have Machado, and you have Tatis Jr. with Blake Snell. Same to Kevin Durant of Devin. Oh, Pedro, he's back. Hey guys, welcome back, Pedro. So we're just talking, kind of comparing just the teams that like you could compare like Juan Soto and the San Diego Padres, where they had Tatis Jr., Juan Soto, Blake Snell, and Machado, to like the Suns team in the NBA with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Yusuf Nurkic. I mean, you have these super teams, and sometimes those super teams don't really pan out. And similar to the Yankees, a couple years back when they had Judge, they had Sanchez, they had Andujar, they had Torres. They had all these guys, but they all wanted to hit home runs. Similar to what Kevin Durant and the Suns are, they're really kind of inconsistent. They're not one of the best teams. If you look at like Denver or OKC or Timberwolves, they have young talent. They're not all superstars, but they're all young talent that are really just want to play, want to move. And that's why it's great to not really sometimes have it. That's why Texas, to me, won the World Series, because they didn't have all these big names. They had guys that were put in their position to do well and to do their job. And I think that's the reason why you saw Texas and the Diamondbacks in there. And we saw the Diamondbacks a year earlier. This was supposed to be the year that they were supposed to go crazy. So who knows if they have a setback. And that year last year was the year that they were supposed to pop off, and that was the snap. So what are your thoughts on just the season? I named like the top 7. I'll name them again for you. First,
I heard him.
oh,
I
you
heard
heard?
you.
Okay.
Yeah. I was on. I was on.
Oh, okay.
I was still tuned in.
Oh, okay. So yeah, those were my top 7. I mean, what do you think? Do you think any tweaking with that? I mean, I really don't see the Yankees that are above that 6 right now, even with this Juan Soto trade. Now, if we get Blake Snell, that's a different story. I mean, we got another pitcher to help out Garrett Cole, but he's also inconsistent, so I don't know how that's going to work either.
I mean, if I'm being honest about it, I think the list that you gave is somewhat consistent with what has been played and what has been going on in the league, right? I mean, MLB is there's been a lot of changes lately. I mean, I'm just gonna say this, right? Let's take a comparison. Let's take a look at the Yankees of the '90s and the early 2000s to the Yankees of today, right? They're completely different, right? It's a 1,000%, like
Definitely.
360 spin, right? You're talking
Yeah.
about a team that has dominated the league for 15 years straight, right?
Yeah.
There was nobody that could top or touch the Yankees. You know what I mean? You're talking about, having some of the top players. You're talking about a league of an organization that understood what it meant to really, really, really have, um, you know, uh, spend what they need to spend to have some of the top guys, right? George
Yeah.
Steinbrenner he was a mastermind of that, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get these guys. I'm gonna put them in right now. The Yankees, last couple of years, they've played absolute shit baseball, absolute shit baseball, and it's
Especially
not the
last
fact that they
year.
have the players now.
Last year was bad.
Now I'm gonna say something to you, and this is gonna take us into the next segment and topic, right? One of the things that I see a lot happening these days is, and I see it more and more so prevalent and prominent in schools, particularly in high schools and in college sports. Not so much in the big name college sports, but in more sort of community schools and things like that. You see a lot of kids going into a lot of younger guys. They go into sports, or girls, they get into sports with the anticipation, the hopes of landing someday a position on a big league, right?
Yeah.
And they get into the game, they go, they try to play, they try to do their thing, and they don't get the right coaching. They
Mm.
don't get the right skill set set up. They don't get the right foundations. And I think that that's one of the biggest things, right? When we look at some of these, the overall performance of some of these teams later on compared to, um, look at just all the performance in the beginning, actually, and compared to later on, we can see a lot of these guys. The issue has always been the foundation, the coaching that they received. As far as where these guys are set up right now, the Yankees, I think you're right. I think if they get Snell, it'll be great. I think they'll be in a great, in a better position. Um, Juan Soto, I mean, losing that's a big loss. That's a huge loss, right? I mean, you're talking about a guy who's really proven himself, from start to finish, right? But again, this is just some of the decisions that's made on an organizational level, and the reasons why it's done. Most of the time, it's financial, right? It's all money, right?
Yep.
At the end of the day, these organizations, they run off of one principle, and that is the financial aspect. We're not getting too deep into all these things. I think that those aspects. I think the bottom line is just that I don't think that there are a lot of great players in the league anymore as they were before. I don't think the greats exist anymore. I think we got a bunch of guys that's coming into the leagues that's going to be uh, recognizable for a short period of time.
Yeah.
Once that retirement, once that time comes, it's over. It's on to
Mhm.
the next. And I think that that's what we're going to start seeing recycle into the leagues moving forward.
Yeah, I definitely do agree. You're starting to see that with the NFL. You're starting to see it with the NBA. But the NBA is trying to find the guy to take the torch away from LeBron and
Listen, listen,
instead.
listen, listen. They can't find anybody to take the torch away from LeBron anymore. They can't do that. They can try as hard as they want to do that, right?
There's
The
not going to be
real
another LeBron.
They will listen. These guys, they have a certain foundation fiber in them. That fiber is ingrained in them doing a couple of things. The first thing that they do is that they understand is I got to wake up in the morning and grind. I got to be up at 3 a.m. to get my day going. They understand the importance of practice. They understand the importance of diligence. They understand the importance of discipline. And I think that that's one of the things that most people actually like. Most people like discipline. Most athletes today, most of the younger athletes, they're like, I'm going to give you a really real quick scenario. I have a couple of guys that I'm working with right now. And, the only thing I hear these guys talk about um, is the stats. Guys run stats down to me like crazy. Oh, I'm running a 40 in 5 minutes. In 5 seconds. Excuse me. I'm running a this in 5:27. I'm doing it this. Yo, did you see this guy's stat? Did you see that guy's stat? And there's a huge comparison with people's stat instead of them being better. They're focused on other people's um how should I say
Success.
performances, right? Not so much the success, performances and successes, yes, but more so people's performances and not focus on their own. And I think that that's what you'll find happening in a lot of sports teams and leagues right now. There's a lot of focus on that. I think the reason why we're seeing this trend is because a lot of young people are so caught up on that one specific thing. They're caught up on the stats, on just being better in terms of to beat somebody else and not being better to beat the person who they were yesterday. And that's the reason why we're seeing such a turnaround. See guys like Kobe, see guys like Shaq, see guys like LeBron, guys like
Jordan.
Michael, like yeah, like exactly Michael Jordan, um, guys like Steve Kerr. These guys are guys that were consistent and persistent in what they did. These guys, look, their names will ring on forever, right?
Oh yeah.
Look at a guy like Derrick Rose. I think he's one of the guys that kind of comes out of that line, but he kind of killed it he kind of killed himself with that at the
Yeah.
end. But Derrick Rose is another name that you'll hear about for many years too. You look at that guy, right? There's a whole bunch of people. I'm pulling names out of the hat just to kind of show you. When you mention those guys, you know who they are. They go through generations.
Hmm.
That's how you know that you're impactful, right? Wilt Chamberlain, right? These are the guys that you're going to hear about
Bill
throughout the course
Russell.
of history. Bill Russell, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Michael Irv,
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry, Irving, you know what I mean? All these are guys you're going to hear about as you go through time. Patrick Ewing. These are guys that will never, under any circumstance, lose their place in sports, and that's because of the fact that they have played a great game, but they've also worked to the foundations and to the discipline of the game. The game is a discipline, and the discipline is not in the reward, but in the discipline is in what you do to get the reward. And I think that that's what most of these guys are like. And I see these kids, they come in all the time. They go to the gyms. I see them all the time. They come in, oh, I'm going to go practice. They come in, they do 25, 30 minutes, they do an hour, and they're out. They go play a couple of games on the court. They shoot around a bit, They show off their skills. It's all about showing off the skills. I want to be nasty. I'll be nicer than him, nicer than this one, and that's it. And they go home.
Nah.
And there is no, I don't see any skills practice. I don't see anything to really mimic what it really takes to become that person. You can't take the ball and learn how to dribble in 15 minutes. That just doesn't work. I'm sorry.
No,
It takes
you got to
hours
work.
and hours and hours of repetition and time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
You
could
know
look
this.
example of Kobe Bryant. I mean, he said Jay Williams said it himself. He's like, I went into the gym 2 hours. He was already in a deep sweat. I take out my stuff. I finish my workout. He's still working out after I finished my workout for an hour and a half. He waits another 45 minutes, and he asked him, "Well, what made you think? I saw you in the gym, and you're not gonna outwork me, so I'm gonna stay there until you get the hell out."
Exactly.
It just shows you,
Exactly.
like, and he even said when he practices, it's not lollygagging, launching on. It's game moves and game speed. It's not all right. Well, I'm gonna just go for a layup and just go like just like finesse it. It's a game layup. Thinking that there's this help side coming over there from the block. There's a 7-footer that's trying to block you. It's a game speed layup. So I can always think about that, and that's similar to what I do when I go to lift. You've seen me 20th time. I'm always there for hours upon hours because I want to perfect what I want to do. Podcasting. I'm on this thing hours on hours. Stephen A. Smith's a great example. I know he has some crazy things, but he works his behind off. And the way he did it, I had a professor in Montclair. He told me he was his basically he was the one that helped him get to where he was. He was the one that basically helped him in college and that high school. And he said Stephen A. used to show up to high school games dressed in a full-on tuxedo, interviewing people. So that just showed the dedication and the love that he had to broadcasting and just in sports in general. So in any type of facet of life and whatever you want to do, anybody in any sport could comparison to what you want to do in life. It doesn't matter. Anything could happen. So
Yeah, man. I mean, I've just, I think we're all still learning. I mean, I'm learning some things too
oh
as we
yeah.
go along, and I just learned something myself. I had to be honest with you. Um, it is one of those things, right? You learn to become great, and you learn to be humble in greatness. You know who you are. You know if you're a great person or not, just because you know what you can do. But you learn that your greatness is not displayed until you actually work in the dark. Greatness is work that actually that's done in the dark. So when you're in your darkest moments, when you're in the times where nobody's seeing you, when the doors are closed and the gym lights are dim, and you're in there and you're knocking out shots. You know what I mean? You're working on your shots. When you're in there and you're working on your game, you're getting bigger for the bodybuilders. You're pumping iron, right? Nobody's there. You're there at 5 a.m. in the morning. Your friends are in bed, right? When you're up, in the mornings or the weekends, and you give up your weekends to go to the gym to do what you do. Those are the defining moments of true athleticism, sportsmanship, and also the people who are actually going to become the most successful. There's not one successful person that I know that did not have to pay a price. The price that you have to pay is sacrifice. That's it. The price you pay for success is sacrifice. And if you're not willing to sacrifice, you're never gonna. I tell people this all the time, right? I didn't just become the coach that I am or the person I am in terms of being able to do. You know what I can do. You've seen me, right? I can just look at you, pinpoint things. I can just spit stuff. I'm not. I didn't just gain that just from. I didn't just gain that from not. I knew 1,000%, 1,000%. I knew specifically what I was going to do during these times because I dedicated myself. I gave up things so that I ultimately can do the things that I need. I gave up, like I gave up going to the gym. I gave up being at home. I gave up parties, friends, and all that stuff just so I can get to where I need to get to. So, once you understand that, and once you start to do that, you'll go far. You'll go far.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great way to end our show today, Pedro. What do you think?
1,000%, 1,000%.
Perfect. So, guys, this is the Fire Sports Pod. I'm your host, Zach Jackson. This is my guest host / mentor, Pedro from Altitude Fitness. Appreciate you coming on, Pedro. It was a great
It's a
show.
pleasure.
I think we gained. We gave some people some perspective on life, on sports, and we talked some good fantasy footballs points. of why
Facts.
sometimes the little stuff is the biggest reasons why you can't get to where you want to get to when it comes to those type of things. But I appreciate you coming on again, and that will be it, guys. That's pretty much it. 49:40 on the clock, and we are out. Peace out, guys.
Nice talking to you guys. Have a good one.